back to the show. This is The Law Show on CL 650.
Hey, and welcome to The Law Show on CL 650. I'm Zach Spencer, and today we're talking about personal injury, mostly around ICBC and car accidents. And from Macquarie Hunter, we have Kevin Hyde here as a partner, and Nate Hartley is an associate at Macquarie Hunter in Surrey. It's Surrey Central.
That's correct.
I got it.
We got it.
We got it finally. All right. Now, when you're going up against ICBC and you have somebody that has a sort of a projected path of their what they're expecting to earn, and a car accident has caused them maybe not to go back to work, or it could affect any kind of job promotion they might get in the future. So how do you calculate loss of income over a projected period of time?
Yeah, well, Zach, there's one head of damage called loss of future earning capacity. And this is one that ICBC really hates because it could be very, very large. And this is essentially when you have a loss of future earning capacity, this is what makes a claim potentially.
It's very different between a guy who's a dishwasher and a guy who's a brain surgeon, right?
Exactly.
It's going to be very expensive.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. Well, I'll first explain what it is. It's loss of future earning capacity is a compensation for the loss of your ability to earn income. So you become essentially, due to the motor vehicle accident, the injuries you sustained as a result of it, less valuable as an employee. You're less employable, perhaps. There's jobs that would have otherwise been available to you that are no longer available to you because of these injuries. Or perhaps another case might be you have to, you cannot continue doing the job you're doing. If it's a physical job all the way to retirement when you're planning on doing it, you're going to have to change careers at some point. Or perhaps you work on commission, and due to the injuries, you're more fatigued. You can't earn the commission you'd had, or that promotion that was perhaps available. Your performance is affected as a result of these injuries. These are all things that are taken into consideration. So it's not necessarily an actual loss of wages itself. You can actually be working right after the accident, still get a loss of future earning capacity aspect of your claim, but rather it's the loss of the ability to earn wages at certain jobs in the future.
So that's where somebody's not what they were before. They're not going to get promoted past that level any longer, for example.
I'll give you an example that might make it a little more clear. Let's say there's someone who's in med school or even was trying to get into med school. Straight A student, their dream's always been to become a surgeon. And they get in a car accident, they have a concussion in this car accident, affects their performance at school, their grades suffer as a result, and then they've been knocked off that path they were heading on. So this could be a case where there's a potential large loss of future earning capacity claim under the income approach. And you calculate what the job is that they had to do after this accident, which might be far less lucrative and paying than becoming a surgeon. And then if they were to become a surgeon, what that income difference would have been throughout their entire life. So
someone's 21 years old and off to university and they're planning on being a doctor. So you're calculating from 21 to 65 at what a surgeon might make?
Exactly.
Really?
And we'll get as long as the experts...
So I can see why ICBC is afraid of these.
Yes. If the experts support that, the medical experts support that as a result of this motor vehicle accident, they lost focus, they lost concentration, they can't sit still at their desk, it affected their grades and so on. And then from there, we'll calculate out usually hiring an economist and getting a report from them, the difference between the job that they might have to do and the job that they were heading towards, which was to become, a surgeon in the example I've given.
And you see it all the way from someone who's going into med school, someone who's just, doing any kind of job.
That's a very large and significant claim if you get that fact scenario, yes.
All right. Now, let's talk about what you guys do and why you think it's beneficial to go with Macquarie Hunter or a larger firm, because there's some boutique firms that do personal injury, but what aspects do you have at your disposal that make it better to go with a bigger firm?
Well, first of all, we're a larger firm, so when you're getting the benefit of we're not a one-man shop or a one or two-man shop here. You're getting the benefit of several different lawyers and their experience and their different skills. So when you hire Macquarie Hunter, you're essentially hiring a personal injury team to manage your file. We have different lawyers, from the junior lawyers to the senior lawyers, doing and working on different aspects of your claim. As well as one thing that many people don't understand is that we're incurring all the disbursements on your behalf. from disbursements from the filing fees to, postage and whatnot, to the larger disbursements, which I've mentioned before, which is getting these expert reports. And that's really what counts in building your claim.
Now, why is personal injury different than other parts of law in that situation where you are paying, and typically you have a retainer and you pay your fees every month? Why is it different in personal injury?
You don't have to pay a retainer up front. You enter into a contingency fee agreement in certain circumstances, as long as there's, it's at our discretion if we're not worried about liability and we know that this is a fairly significant injury that is going to warrant you retaining a lawyer. Well, we'll enter into a contingency fee agreement with you, which means we take a percentage of the settlement amount at the time of settlement. So if we don't recover anything for you, we've essentially incurred all the risk and the disbursements and so on, and you don't have to pay us anything in legal fees. So when I talk about the disbursements and the substantial costs, which could be thousands and thousands of dollars to obtain these expert reports, this is done to put you in a stronger position against ICBC. When you start out, they're in the stronger position, but once you get the backing of a lawyer or a firm like McQuarrie Hunter, then you're put in a stronger position with these medical reports that they either have to rebut or accept.
Mm-hmm. Now, Nate, you came from the criminal side over to personal injury, and what have you learned about this part of law that you maybe had pre-existing notions of how it worked in the past? So what do you think you've gained from going to McQuarrie Hunter?
Well, kind of following up on what Kevin said, the big advantage of McQuarrie Hunter and hiring us is that because we're such a big firm, we don't bat an eye at laying out thousands of dollars in disbursements on a file if it needs to be done. Mm-hmm. Because we know that in the end it's going to make the case that much stronger. If you go to a firm that's just one lawyer, the financial pressures on that individual and looking at his bank account, can I afford to spend this money on this case? It's a completely different situation. So that is the big advantage of our firm, the size of it, the strength of it, and the number of lawyers there that we can bounce ideas off each other, work cases back and forth. It's just a huge advantage.
All right. Now, a lot of people are afraid to go to see a lawyer. They've never, I always say that, there are lawyer jokes. I'm sure you've got a few that you like yourself, but, I
don't like any of them.
Lawyers, everybody talks about them, but until you need one, and then you want the best, right? So what do you say to people that maybe you're listening now or have friends and family who've been in a situation dealing with ICBC and they've been in an accident? What do you say to them to make them feel more welcome and at ease?
Well, I think there's, I know I've ran into some people who have actually said after a meeting how much better they feel about their claim. They already feel better getting that stress off of them. And they say to me, well, you're not that scary after all. Mm-hmm. So there seems to be this impression that us lawyers are very intimidating and scary when really we're doing what we do to help you. Mm-hmm. We're here to even out the playing field, so to speak, when you're having to deal with ICBC on your own. That's not an easy task, and it's
they don't mind having lawyers.
People. Yeah, exactly. So, and the other thing I said, the benefit is people might think they're paying their monthly bills. They're paying my hourly rate all the way through, and they're getting billed monthly for my legal services along with disbursements. That's not the case here. We're entering into a contingency fee agreement. So essentially, you're paying me nothing until you get handed your settlement check. Our legal fees are paid out of that settlement amount, a fair percentage of that amount. And we essentially put you in the strongest position possible, getting these reports and so on, to negotiate you the best settlement possible with ICBC. So we're here to help.
Now, Nate, when you go to see ICBC and you speak to that adjuster and the adjuster says, we got a great deal for you. I think this is going to be right up your alley. They slide that piece of paper over. It's got a nice big number on it. And they'll say, you don't need a lawyer. You just take this and it'll be done. So what's your answer to that?
The answer to that is that...
He choked on it, see?
Yeah. You've upset him.
Yeah,
poor Nate's battling
I'm battling a cold right now, but you'd be crazy.
What happens when you have a kid.
Yeah, that's right. You'd be crazy to do that. Absolutely crazy to do that, because the adjuster is not legally trained. The adjuster has no idea what you are entitled to at law. So the adjuster can't tell you that that's a fair settlement. The only person who can tell you if it's fair is a lawyer. So you absolutely, I have no hesitation saying it. If you're injured in a car accident, you have to talk to a lawyer before you agree to settle.
It's too early to tell what the fair amount is at that point. it's too early in the process. We don't know how long your injury is going to last, what your injuries are going to be, and what the effect's going to be on your life.
And you also have the broad experience of being in this for many years to say, well, every case is unique, but in another case similar to yours, this is the kind of result we saw.
And we're not in the habit of taking bad cases, right? So we're going to talk to you and we're going to explain to you what your case looks like. And if it's a strong case and we like you as a client, we think you're honest, then we might take you as a client. But at least you'll know. And
we sometimes tell someone to come back after they've seen the doctor, after they've gone to some physio treatment. And if they come back to us and say, yeah, I'm completely better, a month or two after the accident, well, then we say, well, this is roughly what we think your claim should be worth for a month or two. And we're not going to enter into a contingency fee agreement and take a portion of that amount. But if it goes longer, and this is something that's ongoing, that's going to require ongoing treatment, that might be still affecting you at work, or you're off work still, or you're just in day-to-day discomfort, fatigued from the pain, not sleeping right, you have some driving anxiety, this might be something that you need a lawyer for, and we'll let you know our opinion.
Because that carrot they dangle is very enticing for many people.
Exactly, and we're not in the business of, we're not a firm that's going to take on everything. We can handpick what we take on, and if we think you need a lawyer, we'll tell you we think you need a lawyer, and you should probably get a lawyer, whether it's us or someone else. But if we think, this might be something you can settle on your own if it's just a month or two, we'll tell you that as well. And we'll also help you deal with ICBC at no cost.
All right. So how do people get in touch with you and your team?
Yeah, call us. McQuarrie Hunter. So McQuarrie.com, that's our webpage. I think we have a new one coming up shortly. And you can give us a call at our office at Central City at 604-581-7001.
So they can request to see Kevin or Nate, or
they can request to see one of us or anyone from our personal injury team.
All right. Interesting conversation. Thank you both for coming in. Personal injury lawyers from McQuarrie Hunter. We have Kevin Hyde, partner at McQuarrie Hunter, and Nate Hartney is an associate, and we'll have you back again soon, I hope. Thank you very much for your time. That's all the time we have on today's show. I'm Zach Spencer. I'll speak to you next time on CL 650.